When you look at somebody like Georges St. Pierre, the first things that come to mind are probably great champ, incredible fighting skills, extreme trash talk.
But I'm not impressed by your performance.
But you wouldn't think that he has fear. Well, he does, just like any other fighter on the planet. And today he's gonna teach us how he calms those nerves down. To calm a fear down, we must truly know what it means to us.
Like I said, people sometimes they say, "Oh, are you afraid? That's why you don't want to fight this guy. Are you afraid to fight this guy?" I'm like, I would be afraid to fight everybody, even if it's a midget of standing. I would be afraid. I would be afraid. What do I if I fall? What happened if he's stronger than I thought he is, and I make a mistake and I'm always afraid. But being afraid, it's an irrelevant question. It's relevant for the general public that doesn't understand the mind of a fighter. But if you're a fighter and you know you're going to fight, afraid, it's the question of are you afraid? It's irrelevant. The being afraid, it's something that can go bad or something that can go well for me. It could be bad if the fear make me lack confidence. However, if I'm very afraid, that make me more focused. That is so important. That is happening right now because I'm afraid. I need to be sharp. It make me work harder, be trained with the fear that my opponent is training harder than me. Now then, the fear is a good thing. So when I fight, I know I'm afraid. And I always thought of myself when I was younger, I was like, oh, is the fear will disappear at one point? And I thought it would, but it never did. And the opposite happened because every fight got bigger and bigger. So I was more and more afraid. However, one thing I changed is that I've learned how to deal with it better with my experience. And I know now that it is normal to be afraid. I'm not afraid to admit that I'm afraid.
One way he calms this fear down is by entering some sort of alter ego using the James Lynch theory.
I think it's called James Lynch theory. And I'm going to explain to you. We know that your mind can dictate your body what to do. If I'm thirsty, I'm saying to myself, I'm thirsty, grab the bottle and drink water. But the opposite is true too. My actions can change the vision that I have of myself. And I use that before every single of my fights. Because before every fight, I'm terrified. I'm extremely uncomfortable. I'm scared. However, there's a routine that I have in my locker room. And the day of the fight, my trainers know, my friend knows, I'm putting on a mask. I'm putting on an act. They all know I'm scared. And very often I'm telling them, I say, shit, what the hell I'm doing here? and they're laughing because it's the same thing all the time. The same movie that plays all the time. But I'm playing a role. So they ask me, even though before every fight, normally I don't have a good night of sleep because I'm too scared. I'm running scenarios in my mind. And they always ask me, how fresh you feel today? I'm always like, I feel great, man. I'm ready to kick ass. It's going to be a good day. And I'm playing that role of a kind of a superhero who's not afraid, who's excited to find out how he's going to win the whole day until it's time to take my walk to the octagon. And I have a routine that I do when the UFC guys come and come to get me before I walk. He goes, St. Pierre. He kicked the door. He goes, St. Pierre, you up next. Are you ready? I'm like, yes. 1 minute, sir. I go in the bathroom. And I go in the bathroom to look myself in the mirror. And normally, before I used to have a gi. I was putting my gi, my bandana, as I was doing this. But I'm telling myself all the reasons why I think I will win the fight. Even if it's not true, because I don't know what the other guys does. Even if it's not true, as long as I believe it, it will transform the way I see myself and will make me more confident. So I'm telling myself that I train harder than him. I put more time than he did. I have better trainers. I have better training partners. I flew in all these killers in training camp to try to test me, and I got through like a champion. You know what I mean? There's no way I'm gonna lose this fight. I'm faster. I have a better IQ, fighting IQ than he does. You know, I'm stronger, and for whatever the reason is. And then for 1 minute, I'm telling all this as I'm looking down and I'm putting on an act. Then when I get out of the bathroom, I'm not the same person that I was when I got in. It's showtime, and now I'm on a different.
It's powerful.
I'm on what I call cruise control. I use James Lynch theory. So what I do is, because I'm not afraid to admit that I'm afraid. And in the beginning of my career, I really thought, I asked myself, because I was very good in mixed martial art, but I really thought I wasn't made for this, because the idea of fighting didn't make me happy. It's something like I was forced to do in order to keep that lifestyle that I have and achieve my goal, perhaps one day to make enough money to retire, and that was my dream. But when I was looking around the gym where I was training, most of my training partners, they were happy, they were excited, and sometimes I corner a lot of guys, and they're happy, and they're in the locker room. They don't react the same way I do. Some perhaps does, but if you see me in the locker room, like when I get, like my last fight with Michael Bisping, just to give you an example, in my last fight with Michael Bisping, because it's fresh, it's the one that is the most recent, but it's always the same thing. My last fight in Bisping, I get in the locker room, I had like 3 guys that I trained with: Mickey Gall, Eamon Zahabi, and Joseph Duffy. They all lost. It was my locker room was basically cursed. When you're in a locker room and people from your locker room leave for a fight and then they come back, it's kind of a momentum. You shake and, yeah, good job. Now it's my turn. It's kind of a team brotherhood sort of thing. So the the atmosphere in my locker room was pretty bad. It was like going to a funeral. So I was very scared, and before every fight, I ask myself always, shit, what the hell I'm doing here? Why did I choose to come back? Oh my God, and I'm freaking out. However, I'm putting on a mask, like I'm acting, because if I don't do that, it will reflect on my coaches, and if my coach, the confidence of my coaches is affected, it will reflect on me. So I need to feel strong. I need to make them believe that I'm excited to be there and I'm happy to be there. So this sort of play start when I first step in the locker room, even though I feel completely different, but that's how I play it. Normally, the fight day, I never feel 100%. I always feel exhausted, tired. My eyes are hitching because I don't sleep enough the few nights before, because I'm constantly rehearsing scenarios that might happen in the fight. So mentally, it's not that I'm not on top.
But you keep all that to yourself.
I keep it to myself, and I'm lying to everybody around me. But everybody knows, Ferraz, Jonathan Ahern, they know, Freddie Roche, they've been with me for a long time, so they know what's going on, but at least I'm lying to them. I'm like, hey, I'm feeling great. So, and seeing all my training partner, like, very disappointed because they lost their fight. Some were badly hurt as well. It was hard. So, and I remember I start the warm up and everything. And as you start the warm up, you become a different person. Mm-hmm. Because, we know that certain posture in yoga can affect your mental state. But I would say it's a little bit the same thing in fighting. Like when you start hitting the pads, your muscle memory, your instincts comes back, and you remember that you're good at this, and your confidence start to grow. And as seeing your trainers holding the pad and repeating your moves, it makes you also remember all the sacrifice you have done through your training camp. And confidence comes from how you prepared yourself. And even you're afraid, you can be confident in the same time. Being afraid and being confident is 2 different things. And before every fight, just right before I walk in, it's when I'm scared, I go in the bathroom and I look at myself in the mirror. I used to have a bandana and a gi, but now no more. I didn't have this for my last fight because of the new Reebok deal they had. But I did the same rehearsal that I always do. I look at myself in the mirror and I start to compliment myself. Like, even if I don't believe it, I'm trying to believe it as I am. I'm finding all the reason why I'm going to win the fight. And all my trainer knows that before every fight, when the guy from the UFC goes and step in my room and says, St. Pierre, you're up next, I always take a few minutes to do that same rehearsal. And I tell myself I'm going to win this fight because I'm better. And I'm very cocky about myself. I'm telling all the reasons that why I'm going to win. I got a better team. I made more sacrifice, you know. I'm faster, I'm more powerful, way more athletic. My fighting IQ is better than him. I got a strategy on point that he's never gonna be able to keep up with, and this and that. And I was telling myself, hey, I'm gonna show these young kids how things should be done. You know, trying to boost myself. Yeah. Try to boost yourself, and you start to believing it. You become a different person. So when you walk out the bathroom, now rock and roll. Now I really believe it for real, you know, like I'm still scared, but I believe it for real. And that's the transformation that happened for me right there. And from there to the fight, it's until the fight is over, I call it cruise control. Because you don't have time to think in a fight. If you're trying to think, you're missing the opportunity. So that's how I see it for myself.
In a nutshell, JSP uses the James Lynch theory, which is saying positive affirmations to yourself, believing them, and putting on this mask, becoming this actor, and you're just going out there to perform your role, being completely in the flow state and not thinking about anything. If you're curious about how John Jones or Conor McGregor deal with fear, definitely click on the 2 videos shown on screen now.